help us and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Come on up, gentlemen, and just you want to introduce yourselves and tell us what troop you're from?
Back to the.
That's perfect.
Hello? Is this thing
What-
on?
Yeah.
Alright. I'm Xavier Gonzalez from Troop 272. I'm here because as a prereq for one of my merit badges, I have to go to a city council meeting and report on an issue.
Great.
I'm Samuel Gonzalez, his brother, and I'm also in Troop 272. I'm a scout rank, and I'm also doing the citizenship and the community merit badge with the same requirements.
Well, great. We appreciate you coming up. Why don't you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, okay? Please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, young man. Roll call, please.
Mayor Ziegler.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Beagle.
Here.
Councilmember Gotchall.
Here.
Councilmember Grenlund Fox.
Here.
Councilmember Leader.
Here.
Councilmember Resnick.
Here.
Councilmember Smiling.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Any changes in the agenda?
Just
Brown?
an addition under correspondence, Your Honor, that was placed at each station for the council. It's a informative memo from our Fire Chief Jeff Roberts indicating there was an emergency repair to the fire department generator that was completed on May 23rd at a cost of about $3,646. So we're informing council of the fact that we had to take care of that item of business without having the authority ahead of time from the council to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Right,
Just an FYI on.
right, just a notice. Anybody up here, any changes to the agenda? Okay. First item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing, and the public hearing is to discuss the fiscal year 2019-2020 proposed budget. It's a public hearing. So I think what we do first is just have a short presentation just to kind of let us know, kind of open up things, and then we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody who has any comments, questions, concerns, they can come up and address those comments and concerns at that time. So, Marilyn, please go ahead.
Okay. As you mentioned, tonight we're holding the public hearing, which is in accordance to Section 8.3 of our city charter. What we're going to do this evening is just a quick overview of the process and some changes that took place during that process. The initial proposed budget was submitted to City Council on April 9th, as required by our city charter. Following that meeting, the proposed budget was made available for public viewing on the city's website, at City Hall, and also at the library. City Council subsequently conducted a budget study session on April 22nd to review the proposed budget. The budget session resulted in a few minor changes. The general fund revenue was decreased by $30,717, though that was all in relation to the Headley rollback to our charter operating millage. And what that meant was that our annual growth on the existing property that we had was greater than the rate of inflation, so therefore the millage rates have to be adjusted accordingly. As far as general fund expenditures, those were reduced by $173,100. That was due to the removal of the City Hall pathway project that was originally in the proposed budget, an addition for funding for an additional crossing guard in the police budget, a reduction of $1,000 to the Planning Commission expenses, and $2,000 to the Zoning Board of Appeals expenses. Once these changes were applied to the proposed budget, the final budgeted revenue request is $11,791,901, and expenditures are $13,900,080. The variance of expenditures over revenue of approximately $2.1 million can be mainly attributed to one-time major road contribution of $1.851 million and a one-time capital contribution for the Habitat Boardwalk replacement of $600,000. Also, in addition, we need to address the millage rates in this public hearing. Those millage rates that are being proposed reflect the Headley rollback calculation. We have a general operating charter millage of 7.5097, general operating voted of 3 mills, which we're reducing by 0.5 from the overall voted, local road millage of 1.1449, safety path of 0.2986, and water debt of 1.25, for a total millage of 13.2031, or I'm sorry, 13.2032, which is a reduction of 0.8197 over last year's millage. In addition, I want to note that the library millage was also reduced by the Headley rollback, and instead of their voted 1.08, theirs will be levied at 1.0752. You'll find the resolutions to consider the adoption of the proposed budget under unfinished business item number 1. So that concludes the process and the highlights for the budget. If anyone had any comments, we would welcome those.
Okay. Thank you. At this time, I would read I'm going to read the rules for public hearings. Persons desiring to address the council shall state their name and address. Individual persons shall be allowed 5 minutes to address the council. There shall be no questioning by the audience of persons addressing the council. However, the council members may question persons addressing the council. And finally, no person shall be allowed to address the council more than once. Having read those rules, I'll now open the public hearing for the budget for 2019-2020. And of course, this is something that we worked on this past month. We had a meeting back in April and discussed this thoroughly and went over everything. And that's after, of course, the department heads and the treasurer's office and the city manager's office and all the other departments worked very diligently to present the budget to us. So anybody who would like to come up and make a comment this evening or have any questions about this, or please feel free to come forward. Not all at once, though. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Looking for a motion to approve the regular city council meeting minutes of May 14th, 2019.
So moved. Support.
Any corrections? Anybody have any comments or suggestions or anything? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Correspondence, we have the one item that was addressed by the city manager a few moments ago in our correspondence this evening. Next item is the first call to the public. We have rules for that too. Rules for the call to the public. The public shall address the council during the call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council. And all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Anybody wishing to address the council this evening on any agenda items?
Hello, my name is Nicholas Spagnolo. I reside at 3066 Bennington Drive in Wixom. I just wanted to again thank the council for following up on the issue of the ordinance and for looking further than just the issues of the ordinance that were in play and looking for other additional avenues for improving the ordinance. I think that was most appreciated. However, I did have a concern with the new proposal of the Do Not Knock registry. I'm fully on board with looking for modern solutions to these kind of issues and aware of these Do Not Knock registries in surrounding areas. The city of Troy was mentioned as an example of a surrounding city that had one of these. I was, however, concerned about the proposed amendment to institute that Do Not Knock registry in that canvassing is considered a class of speech that needs to adhere to the tenets of the Do Not Knock registry. And that the canvassers would be expected to come to City Hall before going canvassing to get a copy of the Do Not Knock registry seemingly every time they would go canvassing to make sure that they had an up-to-date version of the registry. We looked at the Troy's ordinances after the meeting. Their Do Not Knock registry only applies to peddlers and solicitors. Seemingly the city of Novi has a Do Not Knock registry, and their registry only applies to peddlers. So neither of those two surrounding cities, the one mentioned in our closest biggest city that has a Do Not Knock registry, include canvassing as a class of communication that is covered by that. And I just would be concerned about the chilling effect that that would have on this constitutionally protected First Amendment speech in terms of canvassers having to come and present themselves to the City Hall, get this registry, what the I didn't see in the amendment what the I guess punishment would be for knocking on the house that was covered by the Do Not Knock registry. So I just think that's kind of a can of worms that might deserve a second pass of look before going forward with it here, or at least removing canvassing from that list in case that again raises further issues going forward from here. But thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi everybody, my name is Kristen Resnick. I am a DDA board member, a business owner in the downtown, and also a resident at 1636 Wayhill Drive. I am here to address the budget proposal, the approval of the budget for 2019-2020 fiscal year, specifically for the DDA director. And I just want to say thank you for looking at that. It will help the DDA and ultimately the city of Wixom as a whole if this person is, if we're able to get a budget approved for this person. I think that in the budget sessions, we explained why it's so important. And again, everybody who lives in Wixom is so passionate about the downtown. We can all see that it's starting to grow. It needs more help though. So if you guys can look at approving that tonight, that would be amazing. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, I'm Caleb with the DDA as well, and my business is across the street at 4903 Pontiac Trail. Just want to echo what Kristen said. Thank you very much for considering it. Thank you for working through it. All our peers and neighbors in the community that work on these committees and everything, they're very appreciative and very excited about this next step. So thank you for helping to make that possible. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Anyone else wanting to speak on any agenda items this evening? Seeing no one else, I will close the first call to the public. Next item on the agenda are the city manager's reports. The first report is the departmental report of April 2019. Anybody have any questions, comments?
Maybe just thank you to Tim and the DPW department for some of those drainage issues during the heavy rains. I think in the areas that I've looked at, it has helped immensely, so thank you.
Anybody else? The other one we have is the quarterly budget and investment report, January 1st, 2019 through March 31st, 2019. Anybody have any questions, comments, or you want to bring up? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the items will be removed from the consent agenda and added to the regular agenda at the end of unfinished or new business. Do I have a motion?
Support?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. The first item under unfinished business is recommendation to approve the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget and the adoption of the requisite budget resolutions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Well, I guess I'd like to start out just by, once again, thanking Marilyn and her staff, the city manager's office, and your staff, and all the department heads and everybody that's worked so hard to get this before us this evening, and of course, fully supported. I think we had a good budget meeting to discuss this. It was a lengthy one, but it was a good one, and I think we fully discussed all the items, and I'm very pleased with the way that it's presented here this evening.
We've had longer.
We have, absolutely, and more days when you figure it that way. Anybody? Mr. Goschel.
Thank you. I did just have a question, or I guess a point of clarification, the way that some of the amendments are worded and then being in the packet. Talks about revenue being a little over 13 million, or sorry, revenue being a little over 11 million and expenditures being over 13, and then it comes close to, I guess it's appropriation from fund balance is the main point, and that looks like it's mainly capital improvement fund. Is that correct?
Yes, it'd be transferred to capital improvement for the Habitat Boardwalk, and I believe it's 1.8 million for the major road contribution for Beck and West.
Thank you.
Mr. Resnick.
Yeah, I just want to say as well, I think the process this year, it seemed a lot smoother. I was encouraged. There were residents, business owners that actually came to the budget sessions, and that's where the heavy lifting gets done. I think we should be proud as a city and as an organization and our city staff and department heads. With the heavy rollback, we were able to actually get a reduction of the voted millage by $0.5 I think that's significant. So you combine those two things. We worked hard, right, to pare things out of the budget, and all the while getting a lot of major capital improvements done over the last couple of years, and keeping that 10-year rolling capital improvement plan going. So thank you for all the hard work, Marilyn and your team, and Steve and the department heads. It was great.
Anyone else? Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm a little lost. My laptop died on me today.
That's all right.
So now I'm having to rewrite my notes. The only point I had or wanted to kind of echo again was around our discussion of DDA director, making sure that a plan for who that person is going to report to and how it's handled comes to us before interviews and hiring and anything like that, because I fairly or pretty strongly believe that that always has to remain under our purview as city manager or city council. We can't be creating a separate fiefdom basically where a DDA director can do as they please without any oversight at times, except for the DDA group, which are all by appointment. So those are my final note. Thank you.
Thank you. And we've discussed that. In fact, being able to go to the DDA meetings, we've talked about that with the members on the DDA and talk to them about what happens that first day once you hire somebody. Where do they come to work? Because the DDA doesn't have an office. The DDA doesn't have places to go. So we're aware of that, and the DDA is aware of it, and we've been talking about that. And I think that that's a good point. And you know, what are they going to do on a day-to-day basis? And I'm sure for the first few years, they'll probably be right pretty close to the city manager's office, who's certainly the one they'd be reporting to. So it's going to be a process that we're going to get used to, I'm sure, down the road. So anybody else? We have a motion and a second to approve the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget and the adoption of the requisite budget resolutions. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Thanks. Next item on the agenda is the enactment of an ordinance to amend the ordinance that we've been talking about for the last few weeks. And I know that Mr. Gottschall has a proposal to make on this, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. I would like to move that the City of Wixom and City Council adopts what's labeled as an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances for the City of Wixom, to amend Chapter 5.10, Peddlers, Solicitors, and Canvassers, Section 5.10.074, obstructing traffic, to remove certain prior regulations, Section 5.10.078, fixed stands prohibited, and miscellaneous, to remove the reference to solicitor and canvasser, Section 5.10.079, posted property, and access to premises restricted, to repeal subsections B and C.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is new business. First item, Carol, you're going to go. See you later. Take care. Thanks for coming out tonight. Next item on the agenda is new business. Item number 1 under new business, recommendation to approve a 1-year renewal of the contract for information technology support services to BPI Information Systems of Southfield, Michigan, at an annual cost of $69,600, and authorize the mayor to sign the renewal agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? No discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Next item on the agenda is recommendation to approve the purchase of a Dell file server for the Department of Public Works at a cost of $5,903.96. Do I have a motion?
Support.
Discussion? Mr. Smiley?
I think this is for Mr. Blackburn. Or maybe they're not. I'm curious, the new server will be for 5 years. Will it potentially go any longer than that, or is that the recommended lifespan of the server?
It is an estimated lifespan of the file server. It might go a little bit longer than that, but what we like to do is have a specific time frame there so we can do capital improvement planning and know that in 5 years, if it has reached the end of its life, we in fact plan for that.
Perfect, okay. And then, is there any value to the old server?
There isn't. As a matter of fact,
There's not?
There is not any value to the old system. The old system is actually a desktop computer. It is not a file server. And so it's something we inherited a few years ago, and we've nursed along, and it's time to replace it.
Sounds like it's beyond the time to replace it.
Yes.
Okay.
we did.
That's all I had, thank you.
Mr.
Just
Resident?
one question. So in terms of backup and everything else, will it be hot swappable so you won't have to take everything down?
Yeah, usually the hard drives we put in there are hot swappable. And depending on the circumstances, we can replace the drives without bringing any of the services down, if we so choose to. And it is backed up to a secondary system.
Off-site or on-site?
Yeah, off-site.
Off-site, okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? We have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of a Dell file server for the Department of Public Works at a cost of $5,903.96. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a recommendation to approve the purchase of computers to replace the oldest computers in City Hall and the fire station through the NASPO Value Point PSP agreement for a total cost of $18,231.20. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Discussion? Anyone? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a recommendation to waive the bid process and approve the purchase of roadway de-icing salt from the Detroit Salt of Detroit, Michigan, through the Michigan Intergovernmental Trade Network for the 2019-2020 winter season for $52.67 per ton. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Discussion? Ms. Fox?
Hi.
Aye.
So this will go to bid next year though, correct?
It will
This
go
is
to
just
bid,
for
right.
this year only?
Yep, this next
This
fiscal
next
year.
season, yes.
Right, and we intend to, this was a second year of an agreement that we had, so we plan to honor that.
Great.
And we'll be putting out to bid.
And it looks like it's a good cost, so that's
Yeah,
good news.
yep, it's reasonable,
That was it, thank you.
reasonable cost.
Mr. Resnick?
And Tim, this is $2.53 per ton than last year, correct?
Yes.
And now, how much do we have left in the barn?
We have, well, we have approximately 6,000 tons there right now.
And that would cover us for approximately how much?
Yeah, that should cover us through the end of the year, and then we'll also be purchasing some of this with this funding next fiscal year in July when it's dry, so that we fill the barn completely. But we're,
Okay.
yeah,
So we'll take advantage of the lower cost. Good.
Right.
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, we had quite a few snow events this past, well, the January, February, March timeframe, right?
Right, and yeah, it just ended in April. We didn't have anything, so it was kind of nice. We did purchase salt in April at the lower price to maximize that, and now we'll purchase with this in July at that new price.
And maybe just for the record, the mitten bid process is a bid process. It's not like we just went out and issued a purchase order.
It
So
is.
The Michigan Intergovernmental Trade Network, so.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to waive the bid process and approve the purchase of roadway de-icing salt from the Detroit Salt of Detroit, Michigan, through the Michigan Intergovernmental Trade Network for the 2019-2020 winter season for $52.67 per ton. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Got a recommendation to approve the addendum to the Oakland County Cooperative Invasive Species Management Area Memorandum of Understanding, appoint the Director of Public Works as representative and Public Works Foreman as the alternate representative, and authorize the Director of Public Works to submit letters of commitment for grant opportunities requiring matching funds less than $3,000. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Support.
You want to explain that?
Sure. This is a cooperative that we've worked with Oakland County for about 3 or 4 years already, and we're trying to. My primary objective is to remove the phragmites that are along the roadways. This helps with that, but then also it gives us competitive pricing throughout the community. So if a subdivision wants to also utilize that same pricing, we can do that through a letter. And this change in the memorandum also authorizes new groups to come into the consortium, if you will, without additional agreements from us. So this will prevent us from coming to council again if another community wants to start with this program. So it's been very well received throughout Oakland County. There's a number of different invasive species that they're looking for. Another one right now is frog bites, which I hadn't realized, but it's a small invasive species that is invading ponds. And it's just a small plant with a three-leaf plant with a white flower that I didn't realize was an invasive. So that's, there's some new things that are coming out of this as well.
Anybody? Mr. Smiley?
Hi, Mr. Stickman. Did you say that the phragmites?
Phragmites? Yeah.
Wait, is it phragmites?
Phragmites.
Is there two things? You said the pond flower.
The pond is frog bites.
Frog bites and
phragmites.
Phragmites.
Yes.
Okay. Because the word looks like you could say it both.
Right.
Both
No, it does.
Okay.
I didn't realize.
Well, so that's an issue in Wixom here?
It's an issue through the county.
Throughout the
Yeah.
county, including
Yeah.
us, okay.
Yep.
And what is a phragmite?
So the phragmites are, they have invaded areas that usually have cattails, and they're about
It's a plant?
8, yes.
Okay.
It's a grass type plant, and it's typically, 5 or 6 feet taller than regular cattails. You can see them, they're, up to 15 feet tall along like Wixom Road, farther north of us, and they've been spraying now intermittently along the roadways for a number of years, and it reduces the site visibility along the road. So we've had a problem on Potter and Wixom Road, and you've noticed that level has come down quite a bit since we've been spraying it.
Oh, okay.
It's helped.
Anybody else?
Just a question on that.
Yeah.
It's very noticeable as you're driving southbound on Wixom Road, going across the Huron River in the Proud Lake Recreation Area, that the south side of the river has native cattails only, and then the north side is completely overrun with phragmites, and there's no native species left there.
Right.
What is the state doing something that we could learn from?
The state is helping with that as well, and I think a portion of that has already been treated, and you can tell just by the
Unbelievable
level.
difference between the north and south side of the river.
Right, and after the road commission did some work there, they had started to program that into the system.
So they sprayed something, or
it's a process of spraying in the fall, and then allowing those to be leveled off, and if they're sprayed properly, very few of them come back. Then you got to hit it one more time, and it's been effective. So we'll see. I'm interested to see on that state property how well, future, how long it'll stick.
Thank you.
Anybody else? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Thanks. Next up is a recommendation to award the contract for the Department of Public Works garage floor coating to the lowest qualified bidder, Axtell and Sons of Wixom, Michigan, for a cost not to exceed $39,325. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
So the DPW was constructed approximately 17 years ago, and Since then, it has not had its floor sealed, and with the additional salt that we drive in and out all winter long, we want to preserve that for our future. So coating it with this, we've done a lot of research on the special coatings that we can use there, and we've come up with one, and we put it out to bid, and Axtel was the low bidder. They are the same contractor that did most of the painting in here last summer, and we were happy with their workmanship at that time, and have no problem or have no reservation in recommending them for this particular job as well.
Anybody have any questions? And it's going to a local company.
Yes, oh, it's a
great.
Wixom company.
Yeah, that's great. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And item number 7 is a recommendation to authorize the sale of surplus city vehicles and miscellaneous tools through the Michigan Intergovernmental Trade Network and designate Tim Sikma as the authorized agent for the sale of this property. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Pretty clear cut. Anybody have any questions? Mr. Gottschall?
Regarding the 1986 Humvee, is that the one that was donated and restored and everything, or is this different?
This is the one I believe that was donated and restored. We found that we did more work on it to get it running than we spent using it, and yeah, it's out of its useful service life for us. We have a number of vehicles that are better utilized than this one, and it is designated as an off-road vehicle, and that's one of the other reasons that every time it'd have to go from point A to point B and back, we couldn't drive it around throughout the area. So it's a lot of work to keep it running, and it's really time for it to move on to better pastures, if you will.
So I think this was probably done before I was on council, but I think I recall reading about it in the paper, what have you, and it was going to be used for, I guess, what was akin to like brush fires or places that are bigger trucks can get back to.
There is a Humvee that the fire department has specifically designated for brush fires, and they will continue to
So this
use
isn't
a lot
that
of that.
one?
This was
Okay.
a police vehicle that we no longer utilize.
Okay. That was I thought I was getting them mixed up.
Yep.
So, all right, thank you.
And that one will still be in service.
The good thing about this vehicle is if we find a good audience at the auction, we could actually get some decent return on it. It's just a question of whether the right players show up at the auction. They can go for a decent sum of money.
Mr. Smiley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is more of a curiosity. I had the two Humvees confused as well. The fire department one, I thought somebody gave us that one, or were they both donated to it?
They both.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
part of it. And then the only other element was you kind of answered it with its lack of, its use being so specific. It's got less than 10,000 miles on it. It's an 86. That's not a typo.
No.
That's very low. Yes. It's only worth 3,500.
Well, that's our lowest bid.
That's the opening bid. I got you. Okay. That's all. I was mostly just curious about those miles.
Those Humvees, Mr.
Yeah.
Smiley, came from the 1033 program, which is a Department of Defense program. So the Humvees that the city received came right off the battlefield. So that
Oh, okay,
explains
yeah.
the low miles. And then
Like-
the police department hardly ever used the one that we had.
Yeah, just like Councilman Gottschall, I had the two confused, and I think it's because I thought we only had one, and we have two, and they're both donated, and that's great. Thanks for the clarification.
Mr. Resnick?
Maybe just a comment here. Having visited the Oakland Tech Center West a few times now, perhaps it wouldn't be a bad idea to take one of these Crown Victorias or Ford Explorer and approach the school and get it put to good use by the students there. They do still have a full garage shop there for both body, engine repair, and everything else. And with these, needing repair and all, they may make good specimens for the school. And if we're only going to get $1,200 for it, I'd rather see it be used in educating our youth. So we approach. If you don't have contacts there, I know Steve does from the open house that we've gone through. So
Absolutely, we can do that. And just with one for clarification, or?
One or two, I don't know what they could use. I think when we went there last, Steve, there was not a single vehicle in the back on the hoist, was there?
Correct. They do have a need for that kind of work for their students. So it could be something that could work out for us.
We'll check on that before we put them home.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we have a motion and a second to authorize the sale of surplus city vehicles and miscellaneous tools through the Michigan Intergovernmental Trade Network and designate Tim Sickma to authorize as the authorized agent for the sale of the property. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Passes. Thanks, Tim. Next on the agenda is the second call to the public, and this is the opportunity that people have to come up and speak on anything that they have on their mind. So anybody like to come up and speak to council on any issue, please feel free to step forward, and we'd love to hear from you. I guess this would be a good opportunity if nobody, does anybody like to come up? I see a hedge in there.
Hi, my name is Nick Spagnolo. My address is 3066 Bennington Drive. I just wanted to confirm that the earlier language that we had seen regarding the do not knock registry was not included in the final amendments that were passed?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? This would be a good opportunity for the uniformed gentleman in the back to come on up and once again introduce themselves and ask any questions that they might, because I know this is a project that you've got through Scouts. Give you an opportunity to ask us any questions you might have. I know you have to write a report for this meeting. Is that the idea?
Well, we are doing prereqs for merit badges, and a prereq is something we have to do before we get to camp.
I see. And what troop are you with again?
Troop 272,
And where is that located?
Milford.
Milford, okay, great. Well, thanks for coming. Do you have any questions of council this evening?
No, but I do want to say that I wish our Congress could be as cooperative as you guys.
Well, you caught us on a good night. Anybody have any, stay up here, fellas.
Maybe one question, Mr.
Yeah.
This is for citizenship in the community?
Yes.
Okay. If you look around, what form of city government do you think Wixom has? There's a strong mayor form of government, and there's a city manager council form of government. What do you think we have? A city manager council form of government? Yeah, so we have a weak mayor, is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm old. I might be old, but I'm not weak.
Yeah, so in this case, the city manager is like the CEO, and he is the administrative head of the government, and the council is like the board, so good. Well, good luck, gentlemen.
Thanks for coming tonight. Oh, I'm sorry, you've got one more question. Mr. Smiley has a question.
Just real quick, you fellows have been here before, haven't you?
Yes.
I haven't.
Oh, was it not both of you? I thought you both, there were some Gonzalez brothers I thought came, a few months ago.
I know I have.
And he says he has, so you both have. And that's your dad there in the back?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's your dad's name?
Ricardo,
Ricardo?
you can call him Rick.
Oh, thanks. Mr. Gonzalez, you have two fine young boys. Thanks for bringing them.
Thank you very much.
That's all I had.
Okay, anybody else?
Told you could call him Ray.
What's that?
You could have called him Ray.
Oh, I know.
Thanks, fellas. Thanks for coming out.
You're welcome.
Stick around after the meeting, you can get a picture taken with the council, okay? Next item on the agenda, I'll close the second call to the public. Next item on the agenda is city manager's comments. Mr. Brown.
Just two things I'll make mention of. First off, congratulations to our DPW employee, Nate Opelko, for receiving his BCD operator certificate in sewage treatment works through the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. That's a new name for the Department of Environmental Quality. So congratulations to Nate for that accomplishment. It's not an easy one, and we appreciate his diligence in getting that certification for the city's benefit. The other thing that I was going to make mention of is on the dates to remember. There was a omission that we were going to have one opportunity to correct, but I wanted to make sure that we slipped in for information about it tonight as well. Our Light the Night event is going to be on Thursday, June 27th from 6 to 10 p.m. at Sibley Square Park, and we encourage everybody to come out and have a great time on that evening. And that was not included in our dates to remember this time around inadvertently. It will be next time.
Thank you.
And those are the two things I was going to mention.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda are the council comments. Mr. Smiley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sure you don't get tired of hearing it, Marilyn, Mr. Brown, all the staff. Thanks again for the fine budget and all the work put into it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Beagle.
Thank you. I too would like to thank City Manager and Marilyn and all the department heads for their hard work on this budget. I think this is the first time in 9 tries for me that it was passed unanimously, so it's just a tribute to the hard work and dedication you guys put into that. We've got 9 employees celebrating work anniversaries this year, ranging from 1 to 21 years. I want to thank those guys for all their service to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gatchell.
No comment tonight, thank you.
Ms. Grenland-Fox.
I would like to thank the 2 young men for coming in, and good luck on your badges. And I'd also like to congratulate Nate on his certification. The anniversaries, that's awesome, so congratulations to those employees. And then, again, congratulations on the budget, and maybe I'm good luck.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
There you go.
But thank you.
Well, I know it was bad luck, but anyway. Mr. Leader.
Just want to thank everybody for their participation in the budget, especially the public that came out. The comments that were given at the budget session I think were helpful and helped guide the conversation, so we encourage that. Otherwise, that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Resnick.
Yeah, I'll ditto those comments on the budget, Marilyn, your team, and administration and the department heads. Also, it was a shame that Founders Day had to end like it did with the rain out, but looking forward to the concert series, where I think last year we had sunny skies for each and every concert, so hopefully that stays the same this year.
Thank you. I think we set another record tonight. I don't remember a budget, where we've had a budget meeting like this where we've passed the budget and we've done it in under an hour. So that's pretty incredible. So having said that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks for coming out. Gentlemen, you want to come on up and we'll try to get the council together.